Well, more now on Malcolm Turnbull's major shake-up of his ministry. And joining me now with the latest is the new Minister for Resources, Energy and Northern Australia, Josh Frydenberg. Thanks very much for your company this morning, and congratulations, Josh. This is a huge shake-up, a completely new look government. Will the substance of the policies reflect that as well?
Absolutely. Malcolm Turnbull's made it very clear there will be a strong degree of continuity in the policies, but also others will be up for review. I welcome the changes that he made yesterday. It's great to see 5 women in the Cabinet, but I also pay tribute to some of my colleagues who are not continuing, who have really made outstanding contributions.
Looking at your portfolio, under Tony Abbott, for example, in the area of energy, there was this ideological opposition to many forms of renewable energy, in particular that sort of bizarre hatred, if you like, of wind turbines. Is all of that gone?
Well, look, the Coalition has a very strong and active commitment to renewable energies. In fact, we reached a bipartisan target with the Labor Party through the very good work of Ian Macfarlane and Greg Hunt. So we are absolutely committed to renewable energies. As for the specifics of which technologies and which energies we'll continue to promote, I'm sure that will be the subject of further discussions between Greg Hunt, myself and Malcolm Turnbull. But you know, that will happen over coming weeks and months. But we are absolutely committed to renewable energy as part of our way to reduce emissions.
And where do you hope to take resources and Northern Australia, your other two portfolio areas?
Well, the resources sector is really interesting because Australia has received a huge dividend from a decade-long super cycle which has come out of the industrialisation of China. So we've seen high demand and we've seen high prices for commodities. Now that is definitely slowed, and so the key for Australia now is how do you boost productivity in the resources sector, how do you capitalise on the lower Australian dollar, which gives us a competitive advantage, and how do these free trade agreements reduce tariffs and open up new markets for us. Now, that's why the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement, which is being now blocked by the Labor Party, is absolutely critical because it will be of great benefit to our resources sector, which employs thousands of Australians. As in relation to Northern Australia, well, the Abbott government was the first government ever to do a white paper into developing Northern Australia, and that was a really important document which looked at how do we boost infrastructure spending through $5 billion worth of concessional loans, how do we look at the labour market in our north, how do we boost agriculture and access to water. So there's lots of issues to deal with the north, but because it's so proximate to the growing markets in Asia, because it has the benefit not only of distance but also of time zones, there is great opportunities for us in our north, and I really look forward to working through these issues with my colleagues in the Parliament who come from those parts of Queensland, Western Australia, Northern Territory and elsewhere.
You've been moved upwards from your former role as Assistant Treasurer. Now, the economic portfolio is one area that Malcolm Turnbull was very, very critical of a week ago when he made his pitch to become Prime Minister. What do you think you achieved in your former role?
Well, I was very honoured to be part of the Expenditure Review Committee, which was absolutely instrumental in forming the Abbott government's second budget, and I think that was a great success, and I want to pay tribute to Joe Hockey and Matthias Cormann in that regard, but also Bruce Bilson. He was outstanding as a Minister for Small Business and brought great verve and enthusiasm to that role, and it was a big budget for small business. And also Scott Morrison on that committee did a lot of great work in his particular area. I was also very pleased with what we did in terms of life insurance and superannuation, and we were undertaking major reforms in the financial planning sector. We got a register of 23,000 financial planners up and running, and that will give much greater transparency to consumers about the financial planners they choose. And this was all part of the government's response to David Murray's financial system inquiry. But Kelly O'Dwyer is extremely capable. She has a very good background in finance, and I'm sure she'll continue that work in the Treasury portfolio.
You worked very closely, of course, with Joe Hockey. Are you sad to see him retiring from politics?
Oh, absolutely. Joe Hockey can be extremely proud of what he's achieved in a couple of decades in the Parliament. He's been a standout performer. He's been a great friend to me and many of my colleagues. I've really enjoyed working with him, and I've come to really respect his wide variety of abilities. But he still has a contribution to make, and what Malcolm Turnbull alluded to in the press conference is that he will have some role into the future, and I look forward to hearing what that is.
You also had a lot of praise just now for Bruce Bilson, the former Small Business Minister. Were you shocked, surprised to see him dumped, and was that the right decision?
Well, as Malcolm Turnbull said, that was a conversation he had with Bruce Bilson, a decision for him, so it's not going to serve anything for me to add to that when I'm really not privy to that conversation, other than to say Bruce was an outstanding small business minister. The government takes small business very seriously, having put that portfolio into cabinet. And Lippo, when you look at the Labor Party's record on small business, more than 500,000 jobs were lost in small business during the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd years, and they had a rotating line of ministers, some 6 ministers in small business. We had great stability under Bruce Bilson, and he was much loved in the sector and can be very proud of his achievements.
Resources Minister Josh Frydenberg, I know you've got a plane to catch. We'll see you when you land here in Canberra. Thanks very much for your time.